This is a clip from the Cannon podcast. To hear the full episode and get access to exclusive benefits, head over to patreon.com/thecannonpod and sign up for just £3 a month.
Now, Arsenal are looking to sign 3 midfielders reportedly. Of course, you've got Declan Rice as the main target, but on top of that, Moses Caicedo and reportedly Ilkay Gundogan. When you've got Partey and you've got Jorginho and maybe a Rice if you add it as well, is there a space for those 2 extra midfielders on top of a Declan Rice, Alex?
I'd spoken about this before on previous podcasts. There's a slight cultural shift I think we need to do at Arsenal where we don't like having too many nice things. And if you look at Real Madrid, what have they just done? They've gone out and spent 100 million, whatever it is, on Bellingham. They've got Fede Valverde, they've got Camavinga, they've got Tchouaméni, they've got Cruz, they've got Tony, they've got Modric. They've even got Dani Ceballos. Sorry, he might be leaving. So I think, look, there's a balance to be struck. We're not Real Madrid. We can't do that, but we are trying to compete with them. So I think, just on the Thomas Partey thing very quickly, is that, this idea that, okay, well, Rice comes in, that means Partey goes. It's like, no, let's chill out. There may come a period and a time where it's very obvious that Partey is pushing for a move because he's not playing enough or whatever. At that point, let's sell. But when Rice comes in, let's have them both. Let's see what happens. Let's have Partey. We complain about not having a bench that's strong enough. And then the moment someone comes in, we also say, well, that person needs to go then because they haven't got a space in the squad. Let's give it some time. We need a big squad. I think maybe in terms of attracting players, that we don't have that. Sorry, Arsenal fans, we don't have that Real Madrid pull. So I don't think we could say to for example, if we were trying to sign a Jude Bellingham, he'd want to be guaranteed to start. Whereas they can say to Jude Bellingham, okay, come and learn from Cruz and Modric for a year, have that transition period or whatever. He would want to come in and start. So I think we're in a slightly different position because we're still proving ourselves. I would say we always need to look at midfield groups or the midfield as a group and say, okay, let's say there's nominally 3 positions as a midfielder or starting positions as a midfielder. It wasn't quite well like that, but how do we fit that in and what is the balance? Do we have enough creativity? Do we have enough physicality? Do we have enough technical quality? Do we have enough leadership? Do we have enough strength? Do we have enough experience? Do we have enough youth, agility, all that stuff, and then try and create a blend from it? I think, for example, if we signed a Rice +1, I think that's enough. And I think if we sell, I would be looking to purchase another. But again, it depends because say we sell a Jorginho, or say for example a bid came in for a Thomas Partey, and we get rid of say Sambi Lokonga, we might need 2 more or possibly even 3 more. Like it all depends. It's like it depends on the blend of qualities that you're after. My main concern is that lone 6 position, because that has been the constant concern for us over the last couple of seasons, as George mentioned with Partey. If we can have Partey and Jorginho and Rice, who can all play in that position, I feel very safe going into the new season. If we got rid of a Jorginho, I'm starting to be like, oh, you just never know. Because what if we really want Rice in a left 8 for a certain position? We don't have a Partey. We're then starting to compromise again. Another season we're compromising. So I'd always rather be overloaded than underloaded. And I don't think I can give you a specific number because it depends on situations and depends on who goes out.
100%. And I think Arsenal fans get very excited because they saw the report and everyone's like, oh, it's happening. Oh, yes, all the gifts, all the memes are happening. But, George, what do you have to make of the reports of 3 potential midfield targets?
Well, I mean, I think for me, what I see is a midfield rebuild, like a reset. Mikel has been really pointed in terms of his comments about that, right? Like, I mean, he hasn't been somebody that's minced his words. He said it's coming, expect it. Do I think it's 3 midfields? That's a little strong for me, and especially with the names. I've always felt that we'll look at Ilkay Gundogan. I don't know how you wouldn't as a top team. Like, he's on a player of that quality. You wouldn't look at that. I think it's lunacy if we didn't look at it. Do I think we actually complete all 3? That's a different question for me. I slightly disagree. I agree with Alex's main point about kind of, we need to accept nice things as Arsenal fans, for sure. I just think 3 is a little bit too greedy in the context of who we have in midfield at this point. You look at Odegaard, Jorginho, Partey, Rice, Caicedo, Ilkay Gundogan, ESR, Fabio Vieira. There's only 3 midfield spots, no matter how you want to click it up, whether a pivot, lone pivot, whatever. in my opinion, you need 6 players to facilitate 3 spots. Maybe a youngster could be the 7th. Maybe you could do a 7th. But you're starting to really clog up. Mohamed El Neni's still here. He'll be here for the season. We've given him that contract. It's not a long-term option, admittedly, and neither is Jorginho, by the way, who I think would leave potentially this summer or even next summer. So I think down the line, there's space for 2. Is there space for 3? I'm struggling just because of the names that we're recruiting. Caicedo will be what? At least 75 to 80 million pounds. I don't know if you can attract that player by saying you're going to have the Real Madrid route. You buy that type of talent to basically say you're starting, kind of thing. You're doing the same with Declan Rice. Are we saying that our player of the season, Martin Odegaard, is going out for Ilkay Gundogan? I mean, there's an argument for it. It's not ridiculous. I mean, Gundogan is an excellent player. But do I think that we do that, let's say? I don't know. And then you have to talk about the Emile Smith-Rowe, the Vieiras of the windows as well, and what Caicedo and Declan Rice give you in addition to Thomas Partey. Like, guys, there's a lot of players there that are guaranteed starters for a lot of teams, and this is going to be really ridiculous to say. I think if you were to buy all 3, it would be bigger than a Real Madrid clunk. Like, when you start to look at it, Thomas Partey, Caicedo, Declan Rice, Ilkay Gundogan, Martin Odegaard. Guys, that's 5 legitimate starters. And when we talk about Kroos and Modric, like, they're on their way out in a ceiling sense, right? Like, there is a very clear transition there, at least. For me, Thomas Partey is still in his prime. All these players are still reaching their prime. And that's the confusion. The only one is Ilkay Gundogan, who you could say is on the Modric Kroos route of kind of wants 1 or 2 more years at the top level and then will transition out, right? I just wonder, the only reason I could see Gundogan, by the way, coming is because Mikel Arteta is worried about the Champions League. And he's worried about the experience of the Champions League. And that's why that link always made sense to me as something, guys, we should look at. I just don't see that you can do Caicedo, Rice, and him. If anything, it would be Gundogan plus Rice, Gundogan plus Caicedo, that I could maybe understand. But look, I would prefer the youngsters. If you're asking me, George, what do you want? Stop getting on the fence. I would prefer the Ricedo dream. Would I mind if Gundogan agreed to just come and say, hey, like, I'll be part of the squad? I won't be complaining if we do it. I just don't see 3 midfielders in, 1 midfielder out. Like, we would need a big departure, be that Emile Smith-Rowe, Vieira, Partey. Like, I need another big departure to see 3 big in.
Just because it's on my mind, I know Gundogan has a lot of potential coaching-wise, and I wonder whether, I'm not saying Gundogan, but the next couple of years, I wonder whether we'll start seeing clubs offering coaching routes to these types of players, and I wonder at Arsenal, maybe Gundogan might have a role in that sense. Thanks for checking out the Cannon Podcast. To get full episodes and access to exclusive benefits, head over to patreon.com/thecannonpod and sign up for just £3 a month.